Good day everyone. In this video, we're going to learn how to illustrate a relation and function. Let us define first what is a relation and function. A relation is defined as correspondence of elements in the domain to the elements in the range. Correspondence can be associated with pairing respectively. The domain is defined as the set of all the x values. So we have here the domain. So it is composed of all the x values or the abscissa. While the range is the set of all the y values. It is also known as the ordinate. While the function, on the other hand, it is defined as a relation where elements in the domain to paired exactly one element in the range. So to illustrate relations and functions, there are 5 representations to be considered. So we have here the mapping, the ordered pairs, the table, the graph, and the equations. For today, we're going to focus only to the mapping diagram. The mapping diagram is a relation. A relation is a mapping of every element in the domain to an element in the range. In function, mapping diagram is a mapping of every element in the domain to exactly one element in the range. So let us try this example for the mapping diagram. I have here a figure wherein the domain is represented by the x and it is composed of the following elements, the letters A, B, C, and D. And the y, it represented the range. It is composed of the numbers 1, 2, and 3. The letter A is mapped to number 2, while the letter B is mapped to number 1. The letter C is mapped to number 3, and letter D is mapped to number 1. As you have noticed, the letters B and D is mapped to only one number, which is number 1. It is called the many-to-one relation, wherein some elements in the domain are paired to one element in the range. This relation can also be described as a parent-to-offspring relation, just like a mother to her children. I have here again another figure. So all the numbers to the left are represented by the x, which is also the domain, and all the elements in the right is represented by the y or the range. So the elements for the x, we have here the letters E, F, and G. And all the elements in the y, we have here the numbers 4, 5, 6, and 7. The letter E is mapped to number 4 and number 7. The letter F is mapped to number 5. And the letter G is mapped to number 6. This figure is an example of one-to-many relation, wherein one element in the domain is paired to different elements in the range. As you can see, the letter E is mapped with number 4 and 7. This relation can be described as a singular to plural relation. For the third figure, the X also represented by the domain, and the Y is represented the range. So the elements here in the domain, we have the letters C, D, and E. And the elements in the Y, we have the numbers 1, 2, and 3. The letter C is mapped to number 1. The letter D is mapped to number 3. And the letter E is mapped to number 2. Again, the letter C to number 1. The letter D is mapped to number 3. The letter E is mapped to number 2. This is an example of one-to-one function, wherein one element in the domain is paired to exactly one element in the range. This relation can be described as a multiple of the relation. So among these three figures, so we have here the one-to-many, one-to-many, here is many-to-one, and the one-to-one relation. So again, this is the many-to-one relation, this is the one-to-many relation, and this is the one-to-one relations. So among these three figures here, the one-to-one and one-to-many is a function because, as the definition said, a function is defined as a relation where every element in the domain is paired to exactly one element in the range. So that's all for today, guys. I hope you learned something about the illustration of the relation and functions. I hope to see you again in the next video. Thank you.